everyone. Welcome to Week 17 of Walk the Plank, the athletic department podcast here at Perry High School that delves into everything that was the week in Perry athletics, a little behind-the-scenes information as well. Just trying to keep everybody updated on our teams and our kids here in Perry and what they're doing and how things are going. So welcome to my co-host, Gene Winters. As always, thanks for joining us, Gene.
Yeah, another exciting week, another busy week as the winter sports, kind of exploded this week. It seemed like everybody was in action both home and away, and it was a good outcome for basically every winter sports program.
Yeah, it's we're in full swing at this point. I know the last couple of weeks we've been a little bit slower. You get that Thanksgiving holiday, that transition from fall sports into winter. November is a little bit of a slower month, but we're certainly off and running now, and we've got events 4 to 5 nights a week pretty much throughout up until about late February. So we'll be at it from. I'll get a couple of weeks off here with the winter break coming up, but we'll start things out this week with our male athlete of the week. We have a male and female athlete of the week. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Please find us wherever you will download your podcasts. Walk the Plank will be there for you. You can tell Alexa to play Walk the Plank, and she'll do it. But we have a male and female athlete of the week each and every week. And so our male athlete this week is Darian Malone. Welcome, Darian, to the show. Appreciate you joining us here. As always, special thank you to DQ. Each of our athletes of the week gets a free meal deal along with the Blizzard. So make sure you take advantage of that here after we get done with you. We'll just go through, D, and start talking about the season so far. We're 2-0. We're early part of the season, obviously, just 2 games in, but let's go sort of in reverse order. We go back to Saturday. It's a Tuesday. We're on Tuesday the 16th, I believe, if I'm not, the 17th. So this will drop sometime Tuesday night. But last Saturday, we're at Harvey on the road for the first time, and we come out with a 70-63 win. We're up 10 or 12 at the half, and then they make a run though in that fourth quarter, late third into that fourth quarter, and come back and actually take the lead for a quick second.
Yeah, it was just a good experience for our team since we're a younger team to get that experience early in the season. And it's a great team that we played, and just to be able to stay together and come through and with the win. Yeah,
very athletic team. They can make runs like that. They can put pressure on you from whether it's a full court or a half court, whatever. And they made some plays to get back in the game. But you yourself, you finished with 34 points, 6 3-pointers, I believe. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, assists, blocks, steals. You pretty much had an all-around incredible game and pretty much got us that W. So what is it like do you know how many points you have when you get to that level? You're just sort of playing and whatever happens. I know there's not a goal per se. I want to score X number of points a game, but you're just trying to do everything to help your team win?
Yeah, I just play, and then you look up and you just see how many points you have. I don't really care about that, though. As long as we're winning.
Yeah.
And as your shot's falling and, you have 20 points or 25 and then up to 30, how do you, try to keep your teammates involved when I'm sure they're trying to get you the ball because you're on a little bit of a hot streak?
Just like getting rebounds and giving them the ball and then pass it, and then if it comes my way, just try to create plays for everybody else as long as myself.
Well, I think when I talked to Coach Isofano, he said he was shocked at the end of the game that you had 34 points. Not that he didn't believe you couldn't do it. He said just it was a very effective 34 points. Just a high percentage of shots that you took went in. So it's not like you were shooting the ball every time down the floor to get your 34 points. He said it was very productive 34. So he was sort of shocked, but he was happy. I know he got interviewed after the game. You did as well. And it was a great win for us because it's a CVC win, and that's the other thing. Maybe people don't know we're in a different division this year. So we've been in the Lake Division the last couple of years, playing Madison, the Ashtabula schools. Geneva was a big rival for us last year, and every game came down to almost the last couple of possessions. But now we're back in the CVC Chagrin Division with Orange, Harvey, Hawkins, Chagrin Falls, West G. Back to sort of what we've been used to, at least in my time here. That's sort of the division that we've been in. How does that change? Does anything change for you? Do you like playing against one division or those types of schools versus another, or you're just going out there and playing?
I'm just going out there and playing, but it's kind of fun playing new teams that we haven't played in the past.
Yeah, and I know, and one of those things, with the way football ended up for us, another deep run. We didn't get any non-conference games. Orange had played 2 or 3 non-conference games before we played them. Harvey's played 2 or 3 non-conference games before we played them, and then we're jumping right into it, and we're playing a CVC game, and I just think it speaks volumes to you and to the team so far that we're able to come out. We had maybe 1 or 2 scrimmages, and now we're playing meaningful CVC games, and right off the bat, we're able to be 2-0.
Yeah, I just think that we made the most out of our practices that we had for the 3 weeks that we were together and just played really hard.
Good.
And for you this year, obviously being one of 4 seniors on the roster, do you kind of try to take more of a leadership role? Do you, kind of just work in, trying to get the newer guys up to speed, the underclassmen?
Yeah, I definitely have to be a leader for the team because there's a lot of young sophomores and that haven't played a lot of varsity, and just getting them to used to the level because it's very high level.
Was it different this year? Obviously you guys train, and as Mr. Rockwell mentioned, get ready for your scrimmages. Last year you go into the season without Owen McCoon, who stepped away from basketball. This year Walter Moses steps away. He's going to be heading off to Toledo here coming up in a couple weeks. So is it different for you guys seeing some of the guys that you're used to playing with not on the roster anymore, and then trying to gain that trust of some of the younger kids?
I think that it's tough losing those great athletes, but at the same time, it's good to for the younger players to have to step up, and just when we trust them, they play with more confidence. So just have to keep putting our trust into them.
Well, I remember just a couple of short years ago, we had a sophomore and yourself that were out there. You were in their shoes, right? You were a sophomore. You were playing, getting significant minutes, and contributing to the varsity team. And I know we have several sophomores that look like they're going to be involved in a similar role to you. So having been in those shoes, I'm sure it's you can relate to them. You know what it's like to feel that pressure and maybe that first time on a varsity floor as a younger player, and I think it's going to transition well. And so far, so good. We're 2-0. We've got Hawken coming up here later this week, and we play 3. It's like an NBA schedule this week, Mr. Winters. We play 3 in 4 days. So we've got Hawken Wednesday, on the road. Thursday we're home to Riverside, and then Saturday home to Chagrin Falls. So with the Riverside game being non-conference, still you want to win that game. It's a rivalry game. Let's take it one at a time. What are we looking for here out of the Hawken Hawks here Wednesday as we get to the road again?
I think we're just going to go in, play as hard as we can, and hopefully get the win.
And then do we know any of the, it's so much different today with you guys playing AAU, and a lot of players, especially the schools on either side of us, whether it's Madison, Riverside, Harvey. Do you know any of those Riverside kids? Are you familiar with any of them, and what are we expecting from the Beavers here at home on Thursday night?
Yeah, we have a couple teammates on our AAU team, me and Vince, so I think it'll be a good little rivalry between us.
Well, hopefully come on out Thursday night, the night before winter break starts. Finals will almost be over. We've got a half day on Friday here at school, so hopefully we can pack the gym for that rivalry game. And then Chagrin Falls, back to Chagrin Falls. We get a day off. Get some film study and some run through on Friday with Chagrin, and then we host Chagrin Falls Saturday afternoon. I'm sure we're not there yet. You're not getting a scouting report on the Tigers quite yet, but I know we've always had really, really close games with Chagrin over the years.
Yeah, it's a tough team. They're going to play their hardest and just try to get the win, so we just got to play hard too and just outcompete them.
And since you've been on the varsity level, I'm sure you've played back-to-back games before. So take us through, obviously you'll play Wednesday night, get ready for Thursday's game with Riverside. Does your prep change? Does your what do you do on Thursday? Do you try to sleep in a little bit more, or take a nap? Or try to just keep your same routine?
I just keep the same routine and just go through it as if it's just a normal game day.
And then so you're a 3-year letter winner here for basketball. You've played for Coach Ice for a long time. How's it playing for him? What's he like as a coach? I saw you guys in there last night running your 16s. I know one of his things is we need to be in shape and we need to make sure we can get up and down the floor. But what's your experience been like with Coach Ice these last 3 years?
I think it's been a great experience because he knows what he's doing at the head coaching job, and keeping us in shape is very valuable because you get really tired in those games. So he does a great job of just making sure we're doing our skill development and keeping us in shape and just combine all the elements to make us great basketball players.
And certainly not everybody it comes from football. About half of our team played football or around there. Different type of shape. You're going hard for 30 seconds, taking a break for 30 seconds. There's no breaks in basketball. I mean, we're up and down the floor. So it is a different type of shape. And I know that's always a focus of his at the beginning of the year, making sure that we can get into quote-unquote basketball shape. And, our goal is always to be, number one, compete for a CVC title, which we're 2-0 right now, big couple of games this week. But then hitting our stride by the time the end of the season comes around. So by the time we get into February, we're hopefully in the race for a CVC title, and then able to hit our stride and be at our best for the postseason tournament, OHSA sectionals and districts. Go ahead.
No, sorry, one of my last things for you. We talked about coming in as a sophomore. Where have you seen your game improve from the first time you had varsity minutes to where you are now?
I would just say like the consistency of shooting and just playmaking and just focusing on just playing harder and just staying together and not getting too down on myself.
And for you, how many shots do you think you get up a day? I'm sure you're probably shooting before practice or even after practice, depending on how that goes, shooting while you're at practice. Like on a typical day, are we 1,000 shots, 500 shots? Where are we at?
I'd say around 700 shots.
Okay.
It's pretty impressive.
Yes.
That's got to take some time. Awesome. Well, Darian, thanks for joining us. Best of luck. The rest of this year, I know you and the other 3 seniors are going to be great leaders and role models for our team, for our younger team, and we wish you guys nothing but the best. We're off to a good start. We hope we get some people out, fill the seats up here on Thursday night against Chagrin and Saturday afternoon. I'm sorry, Thursday against Riverside, Saturday against Chagrin. And we wish you nothing but the best the rest of the year. Thanks for coming in,
Thank you.
D.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Well, don't let
thanks
him
a
go
lot.
yet.
Oh, that's right. Gene
Every
keeps me
time.
on. We get to know the athletes a little bit outside their particular sport. So some random questions for Darian here. D, what is your favorite food?
Chicken wings.
Chicken wings. And then any particular place you like to get your wings? Best chicken wing spot?
Wingstop.
Wingstop.
Flavor.
Lemon
Ooh.
pepper.
Okay.
Wow, he's got it. He knows his stuff. Favorite subject in school?
Math.
Math. We get a lot of math. I say that every week. Favorite movie, television show, series?
I'm
Not a big TV guy? Movie guy?
watching Prison Break right now.
Okay.
I would say that.
Okay, cool. And then what, and I tell the kids all the time when they answer this question, it could be a Perry Rec, travel, middle school, high school. What's your favorite memory so far? And you've got the rest of this year, hopefully, to make some more memories from Perry sports, if you had to pick one.
Definitely the team dinners that we have.
Okay.
They're very fun. We do
Okay.
a lot of fun things.
You guys rotate and you go from house to house? Is that what?
Yeah.
That's how it's working? All right, we've hosted a few of those in my time, so we know what that's about, Darian. Do you have a hobby outside of basketball? If you're getting up 700 and 800 shots a day, I don't know if there's time for a hobby, but what do you like to do outside of hoops?
Hang with my friends and play video games.
Okay, cool. And then visit any place in the world. Money's not an object. Where is Darian Malone heading?
Dubai.
Dubai.
Wow.
Cool. Not had that answer yet.
Yes.
That's a good one. It's one of the fastest growing cities, if not the fastest, I
Yep.
believe, in the whole world. So, Darren, you'd have a good time there. We appreciate you. Good luck the rest of the year, my man.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We can have you exit stage right there, and you'll be all set. The boys team, obviously, 2 close games. Orange, we were down that first game.
Yes.
Into the fourth quarter. We made a run in the fourth quarter to get back into the game and ultimately win it. And then Harvey, sort of the opposite. We're winning 10, 12 points. They make a run, get back into the game. But we responded late in that fourth quarter, and Darian obviously was a huge part of that with 34 points and multiple assists and steals. He's really quick handed. If you watch his game, he plays really good defense. He's fast and athletic, but his hands really are what makes him a special defender because he rips that ball. He can steal that ball with not too much effort. So
Right.
I know he and the rest of the seniors are ready to go. And being 2-0, I know that they weren't real happy with how they played after the Orange game, sort of an ugly win, but a win is a win.
Yes.
And every game is going to count, especially when it's a league game. So looking forward to see what Darien and the boys bring the rest of the year.
Yeah, as we talked about the 3 games coming up this week, and I believe they have one more before the new year happens. So get out, obviously, this week, Thursday, Saturday, support the team and watch the boys come out. I was at that Orange game, and that was
Yeah.
kind of what you were talking about. Slow first half, maybe you're just trying to find your shot a little bit. But again, just getting the guys together, having a couple scrimmages, you expect that in your first game, but when they really needed it, they turned it on there in that second half to get that win.
Yep, exciting times. Like we said, we're full into winter sports at this point. Everything you're playing 2 to 3 times a week on the basketball side, wrestling every weekend for sure, swimming 2 times a week, gymnastics is every week. So I mean, we're in full swing. So we'll bring up our female athlete of the week. Have a unique. We don't offer race car driving here at Perry High School, but maybe we will after this. Welcome, Anna Decker. Thank
Anna
you.
Decker.
Anna, very good to meet you. Thanks for coming on. Here's your certificate to Dairy Queen. And let's just talk race car driving. I'll be honest, we've never interviewed a race car driver before, so thanks for joining us. Let's just talk about, I guess, how you got into race car driving. You're a freshman here at Perry High School. So how did Anna get going in the race car scene?
So my dad, he's a race car driver too.
Okay.
I'm the 3rd generation in my family.
Okay.
He taught me how to drive when I was 8, convinced the Paynesville Speedway to let me race when I was 11 because it was originally 13.
Okay.
But my first year was not, it was not fun. My second year, I won a championship at Paynesville, and
Okay.
then just this last season, I won a championship at Sandusky.
Okay, yeah, that's in my notes here. So you won a championship at the Paynesville Speedway in 2023, Sandusky Speedway in 2024. What is entailed in a championship? Is it a series of things like you see on the NASCAR circuit, or is it a one race thing? How does it work with the racing that you're participating in?
So every race, heat and features, they're all worth different points depending on which place you get in, the race. But like there's double points nights and single points nights. There's
Okay.
nights where there aren't any points. But it really just depends who gets the first win of
Okay.
the season.
So as a youngster, what did you start driving? Was it like golf carts or go-karts or ATVs? Where did you start driving?
I started driving ATVs and then immediately moved up to street legal cars.
At what age was that, would you say? If you said 8 when your dad started you?
Yeah, I started
Wow.
on ATVs at, I want to say 6.
Okay.
And now for you, I'm guessing race car driving is not just put it in drive and go. We're shifting gears. We're going through the whole actual driving.
Yep, it's a little stressful sometimes.
Yeah, I bet intense. So let's just use Paynesville Speedway as the example. How long is a typical race for you? I'm sure we're not doing 500 miles or anything like the NASCAR folks, but they all had to start somewhere, and they were probably on the similar path to what you did, started driving vehicles at a very young age. How long is a typical race for you? And depending on your answer, I guess I'm going to ask you if you're tired or not at the end. You've got to be.
So it basically just depends on the weather, if the sun's higher, what time of day it is.
Okay.
Because they switch the race schedule up all the time. But it also depends how big the track is, because then there's more crashes or less crashes. But I'd say typically, maybe 10, 15, 7 minutes usually.
Okay. And you mentioned crashes. Have you ever been in a crash?
Yes.
Okay. And you're obviously here. You're okay. How severe was your crash? And Are you in a lot of them, or is it just once in a great while?
So the division I am, there's usually like some small crashes and then big crashes. The biggest crash I ever got in was at Freedom Factory in Florida.
Okay.
I had a concussion for 3 months after hitting the wall at 80 miles an hour.
Well, that will do it. That would definitely that would give me a concussion too. Jeez, oh man.
Now, for your division, what is the age group?
It doesn't really matter. I race with adults mostly. I think I've only raced with like 3 other kids, but
Okay.
Now, you mentioned your dad's a racer. Have you guys gone in the same heats, the same races before? How does that turn out?
so usually we end up putting each other in the wall.
Little friendly fire there.
Just a
Family
little.
friendly fire. Okay.
How many wins do you have over him?
I have a championship over him.
Okay. Enough said.
Yes. That's
Done. Now, being a freshman, you legally, I guess, in Ohio, you don't have a driver's license yet, correct?
I have my professional driver's license. I do
Okay.
not have my.
So what is involved in that? Not that I want any of my kids to get, or hard enough to get their driver's license as it is, but what's involved in that professional piece? And is there a certain, like you said earlier, it was supposed to be 13, but you got in there at 11.
So you can get the professional driver's license at any age. Depends on what
Okay.
you drive and what you do. But honestly, I don't know how I got it. My dad did it all,
Right,
so
right.
I have no idea.
Okay.
now for you. Do you guys watch NASCAR? Do you have a favorite driver? How does that work? How do you get outside of your family? How do you get involved into racing?
Honestly, I've just, I don't know. I've raced against 2 NASCAR drivers, one Truck Series, one not. I remember the first one, which was Haley Deegan. I don't remember the second one's name,
Okay.
but
So do you have a favorite NASCAR driver per se? Do you follow that sport, or is it F1, or is it you're racing enough and you need to focus on you?
I just race,
Okay.
and then I'm out.
Do you guys, I'm guessing, do your own repairs, your own building of the cars? Take us through
Oh, yeah.
through that. How do you select a car, and how do you get it race ready?
So, with all the crashes I've been in, I've had like 6 different cars last season. We basically just, once you crash and if the car's totaled, you look for a car that's close to what you have, but it's already done, built, everything's ready. Unless you can use your motor, then you have to look for the same motor mount, it's difficult. And sometimes we take it to a different shop who also races, so.
Okay. And then what you mentioned Florida, that's where we crashed with your worst crash, but what other states or venues, are they mainly local? Where else have you been to race across our country?
I've only been in Florida and
Okay.
Ohio so
Florida and
far.
Ohio, okay. And then, so does Florida have a big following as well? Is that just the way it's worked out, or are there youth circuits all over the country that you could race in if you wanted to?
So there's, in Florida, it was a D5, it was Division 5, and I don't know, I think I qualified 16th
Okay.
or 14th out of, I want to say 60 or 30 people.
Okay. Cool.
So when the spring comes around, if obviously people watching this, they want to come out and see you at Paynesville Speedway. When does that season, or when does your season, I guess, start back up?
So I have decided to quit racing. It's
Okay.
taken too much of a toll on my back and my kneecaps to
Could see that.
really keep going with it.
All right, so you're going to hang them up
Yeah.
at a young age.
For a
and
little
then
bit,
for
I
a
don't
little,
know.
little bit of a break, and then maybe get your real driver's license and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Anna, thank you very much for joining us. Very, very interesting. And great that you're a student here in Perry and you've sort of got this background. It's very unique and different. We wanted to sort of highlight it and bring it to everybody's attention that, while again, we don't offer car racing here at Perry, you're one of our students. We want to promote you a little bit. So we wish you nothing but the best in the future. Before we let you go, just some questions for you. Again, get to know you type of thing here. What is Anna's favorite food?
So my favorite food is homemade mac and cheese with cut up hot dogs in it.
Okay. So I know homemade, so at home.
Yep.
No restaurant. Okay.
Nope.
Favorite subject in school?
Science or English.
Science or English. All right. Favorite movie or show, TV series, anything along those lines?
The first Deadpool movie.
Okay, very good one. Hobby, obviously, probably racing, but do you have anything else that you like to do outside of racing?
Reading and taking photos of
Okay.
random things.
Awesome. And then to visit any place, let's go favorite memory. And again, while this isn't necessarily a sport here at Perry that we sponsor, what was your favorite memory, whether it's a Perry memory or a racing memory that you're going to take with you?
So I would say my favorite memory from racing would have to be, when was it? The first time I went backwards over the hill at Sandusky, I wanted to do that so many more times.
Well,
I had the hugest smile on my face once I think I actually won that race. I don't
Okay.
remember.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, that's what it's all about. I think one thing we can all agree on, whether it's car racing or basketball, we're looking to make some memories here, and I think both you and Darian have done a great job of that. So, visit any place in the world. Money's not an object. Where are you headed?
All over the world.
Anywhere
Doesn't
to-
matter.
Anywhere to go. All 7 continents, right?
Yep.
All right. Anna Decker, thank you very much for joining us. Best of luck in the future. If you continue down the racing path or if you take a break, we'll be watching you, and we wish you nothing but the best.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us. Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
All right. Anna Decker joining us there, car racing. We've not had that interview before.
Yeah.
Pretty fun and entertaining and informative. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing over the last couple of years, Cavs related. Brad Doherty's been with us on some of our broadcasts.
Yeah.
Obviously, he owns a NASCAR team, so just talking to him and trying to, I don't want to say get interested in or try to just learn a little bit more about NASCAR has been interesting over the last couple of years, and you could just see the excitement and the joy that Anna has had over her, 3-4 years of racing. A unique sport, and obviously a sport with as much toll as it takes to get inside and go 10 to 15 laps around and around in a circle. Or an
Well,
oval.
and I give her credit. I don't blame her if she wants to take a break. I don't know if I could handle that. So
I would think after the concussion would have been time to, but
that would do it.
yeah.
Well, we wish her nothing. Hopefully she gets back into it at some point or continues at some. It's probably in her blood a little bit. If Dad's involved and she started that early, my guess is she'll be back at it here before we know it. But let's bring up our coach of the week, Coach Trent Nelly from wrestling. We're going all around we got basketball, we got car racing, we've got wrestling. We talked to Coach Infalvi a couple weeks ago, Coach Scheider last week for swimming. Coach Trent Nelly, welcome in. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me,
taking
TJ.
the time.
Thanks, Gene.
Yeah, how are you?
All right, and Coach, your first year here at the helm of Perry Wrestling as our head coach. You guys are a couple of weeks in. We'll just sort of take it from the beginning of the season.
Sure.
North Coast, obviously one of the biggest tournaments in the state of Ohio, especially at the beginning of the year. What were your expectations going into that? Obviously, it's a huge number of schools. We ended up with one champion coming out of there, but I know you guys were happy with how the boys wrestled that week at North Coast, and our girls were over at the Madison event simultaneous to that.
Yeah, I was real happy. I was looking at doing better than last year and improving. I think we did. One of the things going in with an early season and having such a good football team, you're missing a lot of your
Yeah.
football players. So we were missing around 4 or 5 starters.
Yeah.
But the little guys, most of them are little guys, really showed up, and we had 8 placers. And we did have a champion. Anthony Trentinelli won at 132.
Okay.
And we ended up placing second as a team. And I imagine if we had all of our stars, we would have been really close to winning it. And I have 33 teams, and it's a big beginning of year tournament. I was really proud of the team. As the girls go, I was super proud of them. They're at the Ashton Hin Battle by the Lake. That's the Madison tournament. We had 2 of the girls competing, and each of them won the respective weight class and really showed up and looked good.
Now, for you, how long does it take to get your football players into wrestling shape?
We get them going after about 3 weeks. Just like the regular guys, the season starts, you have about 3 weeks before the season starts, so we give those guys 3 weeks. Some of them we gave all of them an option of a week off. Some of them jumped right in, which about half of them did, and those guys got to compete this week. And then the others are all coming in full force for this coming up week.
And then, so that's week one, done and over with, North Coast and the Madison tournament for the girls, and then Rambler duels out at Erie Cathedral Prep for the guys, and the girls were headed down to Urbana.
Yeah. So as far as Erie Prep goes, tough dual tournament. So one of the goals as a team this year is winning the state duels. So we really picked up some more dual tournaments and things like that to really get our feet wet with that and learning how our team works and where we could bump guys and what makes the best lineup for us. We ended up going 4-1 at the event. We ended up dropping to Erie Prep, which is the powerhouse in Pennsylvania. But we did compete well against them. And then once again, improving on last year, I think we did. Last year we took third in the event. This year we took second. And, you know, one of the tough teams that were there was St. Ed's brought their green team, which is every bit as tough as any other varsity around here. And those guys run a full varsity schedule, and we showed up, and we handled them pretty well, which I was proud of. So it was good. And then as far as the girls go, the girls were over at the in Urbana.
Yeah, Urbana.
And we had some handful more girls compete. Once again, Gigi Dominish and Abby Crowell, they both went ahead and won the respective weight classes. Once again, awesome. And then Emily Kucher, Eva Kucher, and one of our middle schoolers, Cora Mann, also placed down there as well. It was over the night. It was far away, but it was a great team building for the girls, and those always are. Those are always good team building, as we all know. And then, you know, they also were successful on the mat, which was really cool.
Yeah. Well, and with girls wrestling, you know, they're going to have to probably travel to some places, and obviously building that schedule. The tournaments aren't around the corner necessarily, so there's a little bit more travel involved. The hotel stay probably more frequently than not. But at the end of the day, number one, like you said, great team building experience, and then they just need matches, and they need to wrestle from people from all over the state. I think it's great for them. It's going to give them the best chance at success once the postseason tournament starts.
We have some really good people in place that are willing to donate that time and take the girls out there, because you know, if you've ever been to a wrestling tournament, it's a long day. And it's a commitment, and we got people willing to make that commitment, which is awesome.
It's awesome. And now, for those of you who don't know it, it's been 3 years now. The OHSAA girls wrestling is a sport, OHSAA sanctioned sport. They wrestle end of the year tournament along with the boys down at the Schottenstein Center. And I know we have a couple of girls that have that goal in mind. So best of luck to them. And same with the boys. You know, you mentioned the dual, state duels. So, you know, wrestling can be broken down a little bit. You know, the postseason tournament, the individual tournament, if you will, at the Schottenstein Center in March. You have sectionals and districts to qualify for that. Talk a little bit about what the team duels is about for those who may not know or be familiar with what that format is.
Sure. You need to qualify as a team, and so you need to have some success the year prior, and they have points for each of your guys. You go to a regionals where there's a number of teams, and you need to place in the top 2 there, and then we'll put you into state finals. They actually brought it down to just 2 weekends versus 3 before. They used to let everybody in, and they found out it was a much better event when they just had those 2 events. But they they just start off with the top teams, and we're looking forward to Division II this year, where we bumped up. Division III, we placed 4th in the state last year, and I know every single one of those wrestlers on the team are looking forward to trying to win it this year.
And like you said, there is definitely more strategy involved. Like when you're going into a tournament like North Coast, you're entering your team, and you're going, and they come out. You mentioned we finished second there out of 36. That's pretty darn impressive, number one. But you know, you're just wrestling. You're going, and wherever you finish, you finish. The dual wrestling, you can move guys around, and you can get creative with things, and you're in a head-to-head competition essentially with another school. With the goal, when you beat them, you advance on to the next one. So it's a fun, and it really highlights the team part of wrestling, in my opinion. And we're strong 1 through 14 weight class.
I'd say last year at regionals at the state tournament, that was some of the funnest wrestling I've had in my entire life as a team. And these wrestlers, they've been wrestling as a team since they were youth wrestlers, which is a beautiful thing. Most of these guys have been wrestling together since they were 7 years old on a dual meet team. Now, of course, the weights shift. Some kids, they're little, and now they're big. Some are big, and then now they didn't grow, and they're the same size. So it's interesting how all the weight classes kind of fall, and we were real lucky that everybody kind of fell into a weight class, and really gave us a real nice lineup this year.
And for you talking about that, I mean, you returned 13 starters from last season. You had 3 state qualifiers, 4 that also play. So how do you inherit, take this roster and try to take that next step to get a couple more?
Sure. One of the cool things is, I've been working with these guys since they're youth. So I already know them. And of course, I followed them when they were in high school, and I didn't have them in middle school. So I pretty much followed these kids all the way up. So I don't want to say it's business as usual, but it's business as usual. It's what we've been doing. So, it's really cool. You know all the kids, their personalities, their quirks. You try to do the right things to get everything going the right direction to find the success there.
And I'll have a question for both of you here in a minute, but taking over for Coach Rowan, obviously after 35 years here, set the standard of what Perry wrestling is. So how do you build upon what he already laid out, but also get some of your own personality into the team?
One of the mottos I said is building on the tradition. Our program has such a great tradition that goes all the way back, but it's a new era too. So building on that and adding some of my touches, and working with a lot of coaches throughout the years at Perry and other schools, adding some of those things I've learned from those coaches that I thought were very valuable. And incorporating into the program, including the things I've learned with Coach Rowan, kind of adding that twist. And of course, every coach has their own personality. So, I'm hoping it's a positive experience for the kids. I know it will be, and I'm looking forward for the future here. So.
Yeah. Well, that alumni event that you brought in and we started that's like you said, building on the tradition. That's a build. That's something fun and interactive, and it was not really meant to be a fundraiser, but the people who came out, I think you said we made about $1,600 that night, just in people donating and coming back to watch our alumni wrestle a little bit, and we snuck it in between 4.5 feet of snow. We had a little bit of a break there on Friday afternoon. We're like, all right, we'll run the event, and it turned out to be a great one. But something you want to continue in the future, I'm assuming.
I'm thankful for all the people that make the decisions on letting it go or not. There's some planning involved, and it was a little hit-miss there, and it got pretty snowy, but we filled that competition gym, and it was an event. It was fun. It was seeing some of those faces, some old faces getting back on the mat, and you're watching those guys wrestle, and it's funny and it's fun and it's great, and everybody left with a smile on their face.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, for both of you, take me through this process of the hiring. Obviously, Coach Rowan decides to retire. You have to put out a search to find the next head coach. For you, obviously, being a part of the program, did you feel like maybe you had an upper leg in the recruiting process? And, when I'm guessing it's Mr. Rockwell or a board member calls you to offer you the job, take us through that call and the process.
Well, being with the program this long, we're kind of looking at that transition from the beginning. Getting hired here to teach about 3 years ago. That was kind of our hope. We always find it super important to have, the kids it's education first. So having, your coach as a teacher in the building as well I think is huge. It gives you a lot of advantages to provide success to those kids academically as well as scholastically and athletically. It seemed, it was a nice transition. With wrestling too, looking at that, there's a system the kids have been following their entire career. It's almost like, you talk to these football players and talk about the Cleveland Browns where they have a new system every single day or every single year. And then you look at a program or a team that has the same system throughout the last 20 years. You look at the proofs in the pudding. I mean, look at that and, it's there. So, continuing that tradition, adding my own things to it, I think that's the most fair thing you could do to the kids too.
Yeah.
So.
It was pretty clear cut for us. I mean, we don't get this opportunity all the time to plan for when people retire. You never know when it's going to happen. Even though Coach Rowan had said, four years ago or whatever, I think this is when you never know when it's going to happen. I've seen people retire earlier. I've seen people hang on for another 5 years. But, when we hired Dan as a teacher, first and foremost, 3 years ago, we knew he was going to be part of the wrestling program. At the middle school level. He had been involved, even though he wasn't a teacher here, in the Mighty Might program as a volunteer. So, like he said, he's been with these wrestlers from the time that some of them are in kindergarten. Mm-hmm. So to have that connection, I mean, it was a no-brainer for us. So,
and it's not just the current kids too; it's the future kids too.
Yeah.
Trying to stay involved with the Mighty Mites and the middle school team. And being a person in the community too is huge. My wife, who I consider one of my assistant coaches, is a teacher here as well.
Yeah.
So you have that advantage, which I think is important.
Well, and it's huge because I've always lauded the Mighty Might program and any program that has a feeder program. And it's one of the things when I started here 14 years ago, some teams had it, some teams didn't. Youth football was strong. Youth wrestling was strong, and those are sort of who we modeled travel. When we started travel basketball, travel soccer, travel baseball now is under our umbrella. So we know the importance of, and just from my experience as an athletic director, this is my third district and hopefully my last district, that the ones that have those feeder programs have success at the high school level. It's just like Dan said, the proof is in the pudding. It's there. You see it. When schools don't have those feeder programs, and whether you're stepping onto the mat for the first time as a 7th grader or the first time as a kindergartner, is a huge difference. Same thing basketball. If you learn how to dribble as a 7th grader, our varsity coaches ultimately are going to be up against it a little bit. We're just not going to be developed skill-wise enough. So it's huge. I give a shout-out to all of the people in our community because it transcends wrestling and football. We have volunteers everywhere that do so much for Perry Athletic Department. They may not even know it or they may not even think it, but it is appreciated. I can tell you, if anybody, even at rec sports, working with kids and getting them started in athletics gives us such an advantage later on. It's really, really, really huge. So just excited about where we're at from a wrestling standpoint, and I'm excited about the season and the future, and couldn't be going better, in my opinion, than it is right now.
And I know last week, and Miss Allen will talk about this a little bit more when we have her on, but there was a big middle school event at the PAC last year. I saw you bouncing around, taking in different events. So how do you see the middle school program being that feeder, and what you need once they make it to varsity?
Yeah, so we have a great group of kids down there, and this group of kid, a little less experienced than the groups we've had, but as a public school that's closed enrollment, you kind of have that ebb and flow where you'll get a group of high experience, and then some other guys who are just starting off in middle school. And that's sometimes better. When you get a guy that comes in, or a girl that comes in middle school, they're not coming with any bad habits that they may have been dealing with for the last 4 or 5 years. So you're starting fresh. As long as you have the right people in place and a plan every single day and being organized, and you could develop these kids. And when you look at the last 4 state champs at Perry, I think half of them started in 7th grade, pretty much.
Right.
So it doesn't just depend on starting super young.
Yeah.
If you develop these folks right and you have a good culture and you provide all the opportunities in the world and they take advantage of it, they'll be right there with everyone else and catch up.
And then let's talk about our seniors this year, and we'll certainly have you on. As everybody knows, winter is our longest season that we have because it pretty much runs November, December, January, February, March. It's a 4.5 month season. So we'll have you back on again, Coach, for sure. And we can talk about, maybe who's having sort of a breakout season and all that kind of stuff. Let's talk this time, early on in the year, 2 weeks in, who our senior class, who they are, don't have to talk about every single one, but just what they bring to our team as leaders and role models for our wrestling program.
That's the first thing is leadership. We have, I believe,
Yeah.
6 or 7 seniors.
Yeah.
I lost count. All the numbers are coming together.
Yeah.
But it's one of our biggest classes in a real long time. Once again, all these guys have been with us since they're really young, and they're bringing a lot of leadership and experience. Whereas, the younger guys could look up to these guys and see what they've done. Looking forward to, this season also, it's interesting. All of a sudden you start having college coaches call you when you're talking about kids. That's a whole new thing for me.
Sure.
Where, you're proud of these guys that all of a sudden there's schools and coaches calling you, asking about these guys where they could possibly take it to the next level in college. So even looking at that, and these are the types of guys that will come back and help our other guys, in the winter time and things like that. You think is you're not going to see these guys again, but they always seem to come back and help out. But yeah, during the season, I'm looking forward to every single one of these kids ending up at the state tournament. If we do, that will be seen. But and they still have a lot of work to do. But some great kids, great families associated with them that, when they are gone, we're going to miss those guys. But you're going to bring up a whole new group and fall in love with those guys.
Yep.
So.
And
girls.
Yeah, right. And we will honor our seniors coming up here next week.
Yeah.
So our first senior night of our winter sports event, we host Pin City. That's January 4th. When we host a big event like that, we can't really do a senior night. So our duel with Menor on Monday, December 23rd, 6 p.m. Come on out and let's pack the stands for those seniors. We'll introduce them and their parents and thank them for all the time and effort that they've put into that program for over the years.
For sure. It'll be a real fun event. 6 o'clock, we have a girls event. So the girls will be with Mentor and Harvey. Going to be about 12 matches with the girls. And then we'll go into the ceremony with the high school seniors and have our varsity wrestling event.
Duel with Menor.
Yeah, and we're also making that youth night.
Okay.
So the youth wrestlers will be
wrestling.
up.
All those kids get in free, and it'll be fun. It'll be a way to connect all of the programs sort of together.
Yeah.
If you need me to start heckling Coach Lamanna, I can start.
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot.
All right, Coach. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. Wish you nothing but the best. So our next couple of home events for wrestling, anybody wants to come out, 23rd of December, senior night, 6 p.m. starts off with our girls event. And then Saturday, January 4th, we're going to have 16 or so, 17 teams here for Pin City.
Yeah.
We were debating that yesterday. 22nd annual, I believe, or 23rd.
It's 22nd or 23rd. I have to do some research here.
Yeah, me too. 'Cause I don't know off the top of my head. So, but anyway, it's been a tradition that's been going on for a long time, and we're very proud of this tournament. We've got some great schools coming in here from a competition standpoint. So whether you are a wrestling junkie, for sure you're going to want to come out, and even if you just want to come support Perry Pirates, come on out that day. You're going to see some great wrestling going on that Saturday.
Yeah, and it will be a busy week on our JVs. I should say over the break, we'll have 3 tournaments. Our girls, I believe, have 4 events over break. And obviously our high school varsity will have that. And then we'll go to Brecksville.
Brecksville's a meat grinder.
Brecksville is more of a national level type event. You're a placer there. You're going to be placing down at state.
Well,
but 1 week at a time.
That's right, 1 week at a time. But Coach, again, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We enjoy the time, and we wish you guys nothing but the best here as we move on through the season. We'll have you back some point in January, probably after Pin City. We can get a good halfway point barometer of where the season's at, and with both teams, with the girls and the guys. And it's been fun so far. Looking forward to the rest of the year.
Great. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
me.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Coach,
Thank
thanks.
you. All right, Coach. Dan Trentinelli, head coach of our wrestling program here at Perry High School. Certainly an exciting time. We're right at that beginning part of that season, only a couple weeks in, but there's sure good reason to be excited about what's yet to come for the Pirates, both on the boys and the girls side of things.
Yeah, with the success last year, just carry it over, and you bring back a lot of the same pieces that made a nice run last year. Now just take that next step to get to the goal that I'm sure most of the young men and women are looking for.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to it. And joining us, as you can see, is our middle school athletic director, assistant AD as well, Mindy Allen. Welcome, Mindy. Our middle school minute. We say that tongue in cheek because we know it's going to be more than that. That's good. That's all right. That's why we bring you in. How are things happening down at the middle school? I know we had some weather issues that week after Thanksgiving that has caused a lot of cancellation and
I think I ended up with, I think it was 5 girls basketball games to reschedule. So those girls should actually be sitting at played 8 games.
Yeah.
But we're only at 3.
yeah.
So our 7th grade girls are 3-0, our 8th grade are 2-1, and then they did because there are a few schools that don't have enough girls. As we've talked about before, our numbers are low. We have 5 7th grade girls on the team, and we're running strong. And then our 8th grade, we have 8, but this week we're playing with 6 girls. So
No complaints about playing time
No.
on either of those teams, right? That's not happening.
It's been
Right.
So, but they traveled over to Richmond Heights yesterday and played a combined 7th and 8th grade. And since our numbers are nice and low too, we were able to send 7th and 8th grade to play together, which is nice because one of the things I know in football, since Coach Guswich came, we wanted to try to get in the habit of making the 7th and 8th grade feel like they're one team, even though we play separate, times. It's good to bring in that camaraderie, bringing the teams together, because when they get to high school, they are going to be playing together. So it's a good opportunity. They're going to actually do that again tomorrow. Hawken has a combined team, so 7th and 8th grade will be playing a combined 7th and 8th grade game tomorrow. But like you were saying, we are full go. Everything is, it's the pedal to the metal, and it's rough. We gave the 7th and 8th grade girls the night off. I had a couple parents say, why do they have no practice? I said, well, you played Monday night. You're playing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then Saturday, they have their annual Christmas party practice.
Yeah.
So,
a lot.
yeah, we don't want the girls going 6 days a week. Let's give them a little breather. So
Yeah.
giving their legs a little break today, and they're going to get right back at it. And then our boys, 7th, 8th grade, they're doing really well. Both teams are undefeated. And, they went to West G last night. We actually have quite a bit of road games on the front end of that schedule. And then they're going to be hitting the road again tomorrow. And we actually have a lot on the road tomorrow. We've got
Yeah.
7th and 8th grade boys and girls basketball traveling on the same bus with freshman basketball and the cheerleaders.
We made that movement. We made an adjustment.
Oh,
there,
okay. I was gonna say,
FYI.
so we're like-
We'll talk about it afterwards,
But
but
it's-
it won't. It'll be
it
like
is-
65 people on that bus. And
Yeah,
they're like,
it's like-
that can't happen. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It can't happen.
But it was
So,
crazy because, we have the boys, the high school boys playing at Hawken,
Yeah.
the middle school boys playing at the lower school at Hawken, and then the girls are over at South Euclid Lyndhurst. So they were all right there in that general area. So there's a lot of basketball going on over there in Cuyahoga County tomorrow.
Yeah.
And our cheerleaders will be traveling over there. And then our wrestlers, they're going to be going to Harvey for this week's CVC. So
And that's the big one, like Gene
Yes.
mentioned earlier, that where you get 5 or 6 schools and you're just trying to get matches, as
Yes.
many as you can, and wrestle as many different. You're go up to 6 matches now each day. I don't know that we'll get there.
Yeah.
But it's a great thing that the league does in order to try to get those middle schools. So important to get as many matches as you can, just the experience of it all.
Yeah, which I think when we hosted last week, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we saw a lot of the middle school wrestling teams are a little bit bigger
Yeah, they are.
than they've been in the past. So we had a lot of wrestling, and a lot of the teams wanted to go a little longer.
Yeah.
But they got school the next day. We
Yeah.
can't be here all night. But
Yeah.
it's good to see the passion for the sports. It doesn't matter what you're in, just to have a passion for something and wanting to keep going. So we've got a lot of exciting things going on, and for those that are aware, all that heavy snow, like we talked about, Lakeside was, really affected by that. They can't even use their building. And so we're looking forward to help them out a little bit in January, mid-January. We're going to host again another CVC, one of those super duels, and we're going to take that over, to give them a little relief. So, we'll be hosting another one of those coming up.
Always try to be a good neighbor, and when that
Right.
stuff happens, because Lakeside obviously didn't wish for the roof to collapse,
Yeah.
and they weren't expecting 5.5 feet of snow out there in Ashtabula either.
Yeah.
So we're happy to help there.
Yeah, wanted to talk a little bit about cheerleaders. Sometimes
Yeah,
we don't talk about them a
sure.
whole lot. So, we had a really great cheer coach last year with Rhiannon Lepton, one of our former graduates. She actually graduated with one of my sons, and the kids loved her. But she had the opportunity to follow her dreams and her passion. And so over the summer, she left us. And like we talk about, we've got so many great people in the community. I say all the time, we've got probably the best coaching staff of anywhere in Northeast Ohio, maybe the state, in our athletic departments. And so we were fortunate to get a community member, a mom that stepped in this fall to help us out with cheerleading. And unfortunately, her schedule didn't permit her to continue. So we were able to arm twist a school employee and a mom who, she doesn't have girls. She raised her 3 boys. She's got some granddaughters, and she's helping us out with the middle school. And Carrie Reed is doing a great job with these girls. Girls really enjoy Carrie. Carrie's been putting a lot of work in with the girls. And I want to say our basketball cheer numbers are a little low. And so for these first couple boys games, people are like, wait, we don't have cheerleaders for both, but we don't want to put just 2 girls out there cheering.
Yeah.
So, trying to make that decision, how to make this balance. Well, last night at the boys game at West G, a couple of the 8th graders, Mia Hernandez and Ruby Guma, offered to cheer for both games.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we were able to put the cheerleaders on the floor for both games. So really excited about that, because that kind of stuff happens because of the excitement that the athletes have based on their coaches. So, I want to give a shout out to Carrie for stepping in and really helping us out and getting that energy going. And also, we're starting up our Student Athletes of the Week again. And this is, I sent this over to the middle school office. I don't know if it was announced this morning, so we may be breaking news here. I got to track these girls down, but we are going to have our cheerleaders this week as our winter sports athletes of the week. So we've got Stella Rantmaki, hopefully I didn't butcher that last name too much, as this week's Sportsman Award winner, because she's been a huge asset to have on the 8th grade middle school cheer squad. She works very hard in practice every day and is the voice of reason when there are decisions to be made. She's an outstanding cheerleader and always has a smile on her face. She has great ideas and has been very helpful with all the cheerleaders on her team. And then for our leadership student athlete of the week, it's going to be Kamala Lodica. And she is being nominated by her coach because she has definitely taken on the leadership role. She is always the first one to come up with solutions and has handled it well when a vote doesn't go her way. She also has been helpful to the new cheerleader on the squad. She is also the first to offer help and suggestions. She's also supplied equipment and other things to help make the cheerleaders better. For example, she brought a large speaker to their first game. Even though it was a little bit big and awkward, she still dragged that thing onto the bus. So they had a nice big speaker for halftime, and they didn't have to worry about the technical difficulties. So she never complains about anything. She also is one of their better tumblers, and she is involved in competitive cheer. So she's doing the competitive cheer and this.
In the middle school.
Yes. And so she does a great job. Spectators get to really enjoy her doing her front handsprings and her flips, and sometimes as many as 10 times across that gym floor.
Right.
So those 2 are going to be our
That's
middle
awesome.
school athletes of the week this week. So really excited to get that going again with these winter sport athletes.
Like you said, shout out to Carrie. We've talked for years about trying to get her to coach. I knew she'd do a great job,
Yeah.
and I know you thought the same. And it's exciting to hear that, and that the girls are having a great experience as well, and all of our middle school athletes. Like we've talked about, such an important thing to have that feeder program in place to help ultimately our high school program. So thanks for coming
Yeah,
on
you're
and
welcome.
sharing all that. That's great
Yes.
info. We'll have you back. This is our last pod for a couple of weeks here.
Okay.
We'll be off as a programming note, so we'll be off the 2 weeks that we are for break, but we'll be back here the week of January 6th. And we'll bring you back for sure at some point in January and give them an update. Before we know it, the girls will be playing in their postseason tournament, MLK weekend, and the boys play on President's Day weekend. So
which we're
here
hosting
we
those
go.
championships
Yeah, they'll
for
be
all
here
the
again.
divisions.
I know.
So
Here we go. We want to see some basketball. Come on out. So
Well, and speaking of basketball, JV on a little bit of a roll here, a couple wins in a
Hey.
row.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say that. I am so thankful that we've got enough girls this year to be able to be playing a full game. It's really exciting, and it's great having some of those girls that are playing some varsity, but to get them some minutes at the JV, and it's really helping our younger girls, with having those girls as a role model to encourage, to lift them up too. So I love the game of basketball. I played it in college, so I am really thoroughly enjoying it. Our numbers are great. We added a new girl this week to the program, so she's coming in. She's going to take a little time to learn some things, but super excited. We've got great girls, great attitudes. They're having a fun time. Loving every minute of it.
Yeah, and a couple games coming up this week, and I know we, on the varsity level, 3-3 so far this season, but there's a ton of games coming up, and it was a nice rebound game on Saturday with Chardon after Richmond Heights.
Oh, our shooting percentage, I do the stats too, because, I help out wherever.
Right?
Yeah,
right, okay.
So, but our shooting percentage was fantastic. It was probably our highest shooting percentage that we've had so far this season from the varsity. The girls looked really good. They played with some confidence. Coach Infalvi Sr. always tells the JV girls, listen, we come out there, we play hard, we play fast. Everything's hard and fast. And I felt like at the varsity level, we did that. And our shots weren't rushed. They had been the game before, but we were taking a little bit more time to make sure our shots were, our form was better and good. So, and it showed. Our 3-pointers had some great threes, some really good inside shots in the paint, outside the paint, and I really look forward to tonight as we step on that floor for the girls to step it up again, especially with us being home. I think that's going to be a big motivator for the girls to be like, okay, hey, we're on our home court, let's step it up another notch.
Yep, 5:30 JV varsity to follow against Hawken tonight, on the road at Chagrin Falls on Friday for girls basketball.
Yeah, and then they have 2 more after that with Canfield and Mentor, and then it's the new year. So you get a busy 2 weeks coming up for the basketball program, and obviously I think the only one we haven't touched yet is swim. I think
swim. That's it.
And
I know we just beat North last night, so we had a dual. Monday night's not a typical swim night, but based on scheduling and different things, that's what we had. The North Rangers were in the pool, and both boys and girls came out victorious. We swam really well. The last home dual meet last Wednesday against Chagrin Falls came up short, but Chagrin is one of the teams, historically, they're one of the better teams in Northeast Ohio and in the state. So for us to come up literally just short, I think if we would have had 1 or 2 races go our way, it could have made a difference in that dual meet. So I know, the swimmers every day, as we had Brody on here last week, and I'm sure we'll have a female swimmer coming up. Just the work that they put in every day, hats off to them, and they'll be back in action here, this weekend. And it's like we said, we're full swing.
Yes.
There's no off time. We'll be a little bit slower over break, but you mentioned a couple of the events. So for over break, we'll be here on Monday the 23rd for girls basketball, noon and 1:30. Against Canfield girls basketball, and then wrestling that night. So we do a quick changeover of the gym, and nothing like you see at the field house.
I was going to say how many forklifts.
Nothing that you're used to seeing down there. No ice going in or anything like that, or stages. But we will transition to wrestling 6 p.m. That evening on the 23rd. Then of course break for the holiday, and then back in action on the 28th. The girls will host Mentor that afternoon, and the boys are in action on the road at Geneva. So those are a couple of the home events that we'll have. Over break, wrestling's in action, as Coach Trentinelli said, at Brecksville and all. I mean, everybody thinks, it's winter break, but it's really not much of a break.
No.
It'll be a little bit slower than normal maybe, but athletic department-wise, we're here and raring to go. So we want to thank everybody for joining us here for week 17. Hard to believe that it's been 17 weeks already. We're about the halfway point of the year. Mindy's got one more point here. What do we got?
Well, I just want to say, the kids coming out, community members, come on out, support these kids.
Yeah.
These are great kids. I posted all over social media last night. We have some great student athletes in the middle school and high school.
Yeah.
They're going around Christmas caroling. My doorbell has rung 4 times. And Like
Yeah.
the middle school girls have shown up at my house 3 times since Thanksgiving weekend in all that snow.
Yeah.
They're showing up. You know, they're hiking up in their boots and
Yeah.
stuff. And then last night the doorbell rings. The dogs are going nuts. I go to the door and I look out and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a bunch of high school boys.
Yeah.
And I run back in, settle the dogs out. I come back out and they sang like 3 or 4 songs. They had their boombox, brought cookies. Like, I mean, I just want to
Awesome.
give a shout out. We've got some tremendous student athletes in this building.
Amen to that. Couldn't agree more. And yeah, so come on out if you're bored over Christmas, or even if you're not, come on out to an event and support our kids. We appreciate everybody who does, and all of our coaches and our families and our athletes. We wish them nothing but the happiest of holidays coming up here. Join us back the week of January the 6th. We will do week 18 of the podcast at that point in time. Hope everybody has a great and Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you soon. Go Pirates.